So, hello. Our topic for this session is all about the separation of variables. So, let's go. Before we discuss the separation of variables, we need to know what are the types of solution in differential equation. So, we have two types of solution in differential equation. The first one is the general solution. When we say the general solution, yung equation mo, there's still the presence of C, which is the arbitrary constant. But if that C has a value already, that's what we call the particular solution or the exact equation of the differential equation given. So the difference between the two is kapag general solution, you still have arbitrary constant which is C. Pero pag particular solution, there is no presence of arbitrary constant or what we call the C. So let's go for the separation of variables. Separation of variables, this is defined as a separable differential equation is what we call the first order ordinary equation that is algebraically reducible to a standard differential form in which each of the non-zero terms contains exactly one variable. So dapat, if the given is a function of x and y multiplied to dx plus a function of also x and y multiplied to dy equated to 0, dapat i-reduce mo siya in a form wherein si dx kailangan in terms of x lang. Tapos, si dy dapat in terms of dy. So, separated dapat yung variables ni x at ni y for you to have a solution of the integral of a of x dx plus the integral of b of y dy. Then, the integral of 0 is constant. So, dapat, bago mo sila i-integrate, ang kasama lang ni dx ay function of x, then ang kasama lang ni dy ay function of y. So, that's what we call directly integrable. Okay, so para mas madali nating maintindihan, let's go to our examples. Now, we have example number 1. We have to obtain the general solution of the equation y prime equals 3xy. So we are talking about the general solution. So the final answer must contain an arbitrary constant, which is c. Well, in that case, y prime equals 3xy can be expressed as dy over dx equals 3xy, since si y prime, that is equivalent to dy over dx. So para ma-separate natin si x and y, we have to multiply the whole equation by dx over y. So pag minultiply natin si dx over y dun sa terms given on that equation, we will now have the first term, that is dy over y. Then the second term is 3x dx. Since separated na si y at si x, transpose lang natin sa kabila. We have now the equation of dy over y minus 3x dx equated to 0. Then, pwede na tayong mag-integrate. Now, we will have an equation of the integral of dy over y minus 3. Then, the integral of x dx equated to c. Since the integral of 0 is c. Then, ilabas natin si 3 kasi constant naman si 3. Then, the solution for that is the integral of dy over y is equivalent to ln of y. Then, the integral of x dx is equivalent to x squared over 2. Then, multiplied by the constant 3. Then, equated to c. Then, all we have to do is to simplify the equation by multiplying it sa 2. Then, distribute the 2 sa lahat. You will now have 2 ln of y minus 3x squared equals 2c. You will notice that the last term is 2c. Since c is an arbitrary constant and 2 is a constant, pwede natin siyang express as only c. Since pwede naman siya na arbitrary constant na lang. So in that case, the final answer for this problem is 2 ln of y minus 3x squared equated to c. Now let's go to example number 2. We have to obtain also the general solution of the dy over dx equals y minus 1 all over x plus 3. Since your equation is already in dy over dx, all we have to do is to separate the equation of x and y. So, para magawa natin yon, we have to multiply the whole equation by dx over y minus 1. So, in that case, kapag dinistribute na natin yung dx over y minus 1, magkakaroon na tayo ng equation na dy over y minus 1, then also dx over x minus 3. Kung mapapansin nyo, this is minus. Since galing siya dito, itatranspose natin sa kabila. We have to change the sign, which is from positive to negative. Then that equation is equated to 0. Since separated na nga si x and y, pwede na tayong mag-integrate. So our equation now is the integral of dy over y minus 1 minus the integral of dx over x plus 3 equated to 0. So para ma-integrate natin yan, we have to set the u for the first term as y minus 1. Then the derivative of your u is equivalent to dy. Then for the second term, we have to set the u as x plus 3. Then the derivative of your u for the second term is dx. So in that case, kapag ginamit natin to, this will become du over u. Then kapag ginamit natin to, it will also be du over u. So du over u is equivalent to ln of u. So for the first term, our u is y minus 1. So we will have ln of y minus 1. Then for the second term, our u equivalent is x plus 3. So our ln of u is ln of x plus 3. Then equated to c. Now in that case, si c, since arbitrary constant siya, pwede natin siya na-express as ln. So why will we do that? Since we have the property of the natural logarithm, we have the sum of the ln can be equivalent to ln of a multiplied to b. Then the difference of the ln can be equivalent to ln of a over b. Kung mapapansin natin dito, ln minus the ln, so dito tayo babagsak sa difference of the natural logarithm. So pwede natin siyang express as ln of a over b. So ln of y minus 1 minus ln of x plus 3. So our equation now is ln of y minus 1 over x plus 3, then equated to our ln of c. So ang sabi ko nga kanina, bakit natin pinalitan yung c ng ln of c? Para ma-simplify natin yung equation, pwede natin siyang i-exponentiate. So in that case, we have to know that e raised to ln of x can be equivalent to x. So mawawala na din si ln. Well, in that case, ang x natin dito or yung angle ni ni ln rather, we have y minus 1 all over x plus 3. Then yung angle ni ln dito is just c. So our simplified equation for this term is y minus 1 over x plus 3 equated to c. All we have to do is to simplify the equation by multiplying the whole equation by x plus 3. So, ang magiging equation na natin ngayon is y minus 1 equated to c multiplied to x plus 3. So the final answer for this problem is y minus 1 equals c multiplied to x plus 3. Now let's go to the next example. We have example number 3. Obtain again the general solution of the given secant of y dx minus the quantity of 1 plus x squared dy equated to 0. So in terms na siya ni dx over dy, all we have to do is to separate the function of x sa function of y. Para magawa natin yun, we have to divide the equation by, tatanggalin natin si y dito kay dx, so we have to divide it by secant of y. Tapos tatanggalin natin yung quantity of 1 plus x squared kay dy, so kailangan kasama din sa denominator c 1 plus x squared. So pag dinivide natin yung whole equation by secant of y and y plus x squared, ang magiging equation na natin ngayon is dx over 1 plus x squared minus dy over secant of y equated to 0. Since separated na sila, pwede na tayong mag-integrate. So in that case, we will now have an equation of the integral of dx over 1 plus x squared minus the integral of dy over secant of y equated to c. So, simplifying this equation, ang mababago lang naman is the second term, which is 1 over secant is equivalent to cosine. So, ang magiging second term natin is the integral of the cosine y dy. So, integrating that equation, ang mangyayari, this term or the first term is equivalent to arctan of x. Then the second term, which is the cosine y dy, that is equivalent to sine of y. Since wala na tayong kailangang i-simplify, so the final answer for this problem is the arctan of x minus the sine of y equated to c. Then we have to go to the next example. Example number 4. The same again, we have to obtain the general solution of the given sine x sine y dx plus the cosine x cosine y dy equated to 0. So all we have to do is to separate the function of x then sa function of y. So kailangan natin siyang i-divide sa sine of y and cosine of x. Why? Kasi dito, this is dx, so kailangan matanggal si sine of y. So we have to divide the equation by sine of y. Tapos, dun sa second term, this is dy. So we have to divide the equation by cosine of x. So pag na-divide na natin yung equation, ang mangyayari na ngayon, we will now have sine of x dx over cosine of x plus the cosine of y dy over the sine of y equated to 0. Since separated na sila, we have to integrate the equation. Then, kapag i-integrate natin yung equation, we have to set the u for the first term as the cosine of x. Then, the derivative of your u is negative sine x dx. Tapos, the second term naman, we have to set our u as sine of y. Then the derivative of your u is cosine of y dy. Now, evaluating that integral, kailangan yung first term natin, since si du mo has the presence of negative or simply negative 1, so you have to insert negative 1 inside, then balance by negative 1 outside para magkaroon ka ng du over u. So, ang mangyayari na ngayon, you have du over u, so magkakaroon ka ng ln of u. So, ang u natin dun sa first term is cosine x. So, ang equation na ngayon is negative ln of cosine x, since mayroon tayong negative sa labas. Then, for the ln of u nung second term, that's du over u, the equivalent of your u is sine of y. So, ln of the sine of y equals nga sa c. Then, pwede nating palitan ulit si c ng ln of c para ma-simplify natin yung equation. So, noted again, this formula, pwede natin itong pagsamahin. You have the positive, then the negative. So, this falls under the difference of the natural logarithms. So, numerator si positive, which is the sine of y. Then, denominator ngayon si negative, which is the cosine of y. Then, again, i-exponentiate natin siya. Then, kukunin natin si angle ng natural logarithm. So, you will now have sine of y over cosine of x equals c. Then, all you have to do is to multiply the equation by cosine of x for you to have sine y equals c multiplied to cosine of x. So, our final answer is sine of y equals c cosine of x. Then moving forward to the next example, we have example number 5. Obtain the general solution again of the xy cube dx plus e raised to x squared dy equated to 0. So in terms na din siya ni dx and dy, so all we have to do is to separate the x and the y. Separating that, we have to divide the equation by e raised to x squared, then y cube. Tatanggalin natin si y cube dun sa term na dx, then tatanggalin natin si ex squared dun sa term ni dy. So pag dinivide na natin siya, ang magiging equation na natin ngayon is x dx all over e raised to x squared plus dy over y cube equated to 0. So, since separated na siya, pwede na tayong mag-integrate. Pero if you will notice, mahirap siyang i-integrate ng ganyang form. So, all we have to do is to arrange the equation kung saan mas madali siyang integrate. So, pwede nating itaas yung denominator ng both terms. We will now have an equation of the integral of x e raised to negative x squared dx plus the integral of y raised to negative 3 dy equals c. Then setting u for the first term as negative x squared, our du there is negative 2x dx. Tapos sa second term naman, this is just the power formula. So bago tayo mag-integrate, satisfy muna natin yung first term. So, ang kailangan mo sa du is negative 2 kasi meron na tayong x dx. So, para makompleto yung du, all we have to do is to insert negative 2. Then, balance natin by negative 1/2 outside the integral. So, ang mangyayari, you will now have e raised to u du, which is the integral of e raised to u du is simply e raised to u. So our equation now is negative 1/2, then e raised to u, which is e raised to negative x squared, plus this is power formula, so u raised to n plus 1 over n plus 1. So negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2, all over negative 2, then equated to c. Then, multiply natin ngayon yung whole equation by negative 2 para ma-simplify. So, ang mangyayari sa equation natin ngayon is e raised to negative x squared. Then, negative 2 multiplied to negative, you will have positive y raised to negative 2. Then, equated to negative 2c. So, si negative 2c, pwede natin siyang express as simply c. Then for our final answer, we have e raised to negative x squared plus y raised to negative 2 equated to c. Okay, next example. We have example number 6. We have to obtain the particular solution. So, kapag particular solution ang usapan, we have the value of the arbitrary constant c. So, kailangan meron tayong condition. So, in this case, our equation is dr over dt equals negative 4rt. So, we can solve the value of the arbitrary constant c by substituting t equals 0 when r equals r sub o. So, kailangan mahanap muna natin yung general solution bago natin makuha yung particular solution. So, dadaan muna tayo sa general solution before getting our particular solution. So, we have dr over dt equals negative 4rt. Separating r kay t, we have to multiply the equation by dt over r. So, pag minultiply na natin yung equation by dt over r, our equation will be dr over r equals negative 4t dt. Then, we have to integrate kasi na-separate na natin. So, we have now our equation as the integral of dr over r equals the integral of 4t dt, then plus c. So, pag in-integrate natin yan, we will now have an equation of ln of r equals 4 is constant, then the integral of t dt is t squared over 2. Then simplifying that, we will now have ln of r equals 2t squared plus c. So, ang gagawin natin next is to exponentiate the equation para matanggal natin si ln. So, ang mangyayari, we will now have e raised to ln of x is equivalent to x. So, in this case, this is equivalent to r. Then, sa algebra, if you have the same base, let's say x raised to a, then x raised to b, this can be equivalent to x raised to a plus b. Or vice versa, if you have x raised to a plus b, can be x raised to a multiplied to x raised to b. I-apply natin siya ngayon dito sa term na to. Pag-iwalayin natin yung dalawa, so magiging e raised to 2t squared, then e raised to c. Bakit? Para si e raised to c can be expressed as simply c. So, our equation now is r equals c multiplied to e raised to 2t squared. So, in that case, that is our general solution since we still have the arbitrary constant c. So, na-obtain na natin yung general solution. All we have to do is to obtain the particular solution by simply substituting this t equals 0 when r equals r sub o. So, papalitan natin si r ng r sub o, then papalitan natin si t ng 0 para mahanap natin ngayon yung value ni c. So, in this case, e raised to 0 is equivalent to 1. So, this will be c equivalent to ro. So, the equivalent of our c or the equivalent of our arbitrary constant is r sub o. So, para makuha natin yung particular solution, all we have to do is to substitute the c dun kay general solution. So, magkakaroon tayo ng equation na r equals r sub o, then e raised to 2t squared. If you will notice, nawala na si arbitrary constant kasi nga, hindi na siya arbitrary constant. May value na siya, which is the r sub o. So, this is now our particular solution. So for the final answer of this problem, we have r equals r sub o multiplied to e raised to 2t squared. Let's go to the next example. Example number 7 is we have to obtain the particular solution of the given 2xy y prime equals 1 plus y squared when the value of x is 2 and the value of y is 3. So papalitan natin si y prime ng dy over dx, then all we have to do is to separate the equation by x and y. So, i-multiply natin ngayon yung equation by dx over x multiplied to 1 plus y squared. So, pag ginawa natin yun, ang mangyayari sa equation ngayon is 2y dy over 1 plus y squared equals dx over x. So, magkahiwalay na ngayon si y at si x. Then, pwede na tayong mag-integrate. So, our equation now is the integral of 2y dy over 1 plus y squared equals the integral of dx over x plus c. So, sa first term, we have to set the u as 1 plus y squared. Then, the derivative of your u is 2y dy. Tapos, since magiging du over u na siya, you have the ln of u. So you will have the ln of 1 plus y squared. Then dx over x is ln of x then plus c. So papalitan natin ngayon si c ng ln of c para mas simplify natin ulit siya as the ln of 1 plus y squared. Then this is the sum of the ln. So, pwede natin siyang i-multiply yung angle. So, that will be ln of cx. Since parehas ulit siyang naka-ln, pwede natin siyang i-exponentiate. Then, masisimplify natin ulit siya as kukunin lang natin yung angle niya. So, you will have 1 plus y squared equals cx. So, this will be our general solution, but our target is the particular solution. Then all we have to do is to simplify the value, or rather substitute the value of the x and the y. So, si y is 3, tapos si x is 2. So, we will now have 1 plus 3 squared equals c multiplied to 2. Then, getting the value of c, this term is 1 plus 9, which is 10, then 2c. Then, our c is 5. Then, getting your particular solution, you have to substitute the value of c dun sa general solution. So, ang equation na natin ngayon is 1 plus y squared equals 5x. Then, this will be our particular solution. So, for the final answer, we have 1 plus y squared equals 5x. Okay, next example. Example number 8 is we have to obtain the particular solution wherein the given is xy squared dx plus e raised to x dy equated to 0 when the value of x approaching infinity and y is approaching 1/2. So all we have to do is to separate the x and the y by simply dividing the whole equation by e raised to x and y squared. So, i-divide natin siya ngayon doon. Ang magiging equation na natin ngayon is x dx plus e raised to x, rather, x dx over e raised to x plus dy over y squared equals 0. Since separated na siya, pwede na tayong mag-integrate. But, in that form, hindi siya basta-basta may integrate. So, pwede natin siyang i-rewrite as the integral of e, itataas natin si e raised to x, magiging e raised to negative x multiplied to x dx. Tapos, si y squared, itataas din natin. This will be y raised to negative 2 dy, then equated to c. You will notice that the first term can be integrated using by parts. Then for the second term, can be integrated using the power rule. So, unahin natin ngayon si part A, which is the by parts. So, integrate natin siya. We have A equals the integral of x e raised to negative x dx. You have to note that the formula of the by parts is the integral of u dv is equal to uv minus the integral of v du. So you have to set the u and the dv. In this case, our u is x and our dv is e raised to negative x dx. So your du is dx, then your v is equivalent to negative e raised to negative x. So susundin lang natin yung formula ni by parts. You will now have a equals negative x e raised to negative x, that's uv, minus the integral of v du, which is negative e raised to negative x dx. So dito, papatak lang to na e raised to u, wherein your u is negative x, your du is negative dx. So you will have your negative dx, which is du, then u is negative x, that's e raised to u du. Then the integral of e raised to u du is simply e raised to u. So we will now have the value of a as negative x e raised to negative x minus e raised to negative x. And that is the integral part of the first term. Then we still have the second term. The integral of the second term, which is the power rule, all we have to do is u raised to n plus 1 over n plus 1. So, ang mangyayari lang is negative 2 plus 1. So, we will have negative 1. So, that is y raised to negative 1 over negative 1. So, the value of our b is negative of y raised to negative 1. So, in that case, since meron na tayong value ni a saka ni b, you have the a plus b. So, pagsasamahin lang natin si a saka si b. You will now have negative x e raised to negative x minus e raised to negative x minus y raised to negative 1 equated to c. Then this can be your general solution since you still have the arbitrary constant c. But our target is to have the particular solution. So you have to simplify or rather substitute the value of the x and the y. So isa-substitute na natin siya. Si x is infinity, si y is 1/2. So you will have negative infinity multiplied to e raised to negative infinity minus e raised to negative infinity minus 1/2 raised to negative 1 equated to c. But taking note that e raised to negative infinity is simply equivalent to 0. So ito, 0 multiplied to negative infinity, that is 0. Then minus e raised to negative infinity, which is 0. Then 1/2 raised to negative 1, or the reciprocal of 1/2 is 2. Then that is equivalent to c. So the value of c is negative 2. Then for the particular solution, you have to substitute c kay general solution. So substitute lang natin sa c kay general solution. You have negative x e raised to negative x minus e raised to negative x minus y raised to negative 1 equated to negative 2. Then simplifying the equation by simply multiplying it sa negative y e raised to x, ang mangyayari na ngayon, we will now have an equation of xy plus y plus e raised to x equals 2y e raised to x. Kung mapapansin nyo ulit, wala na po siyang arbitrary constant c. So this can be our particular solution. Since that is our particular solution, that is our final answer, which is xy plus y plus e raised to x equated to 2y e raised to x. Now let's go to example number 9. We have to obtain again the particular solution, but the given is y prime equals x e raised to y minus x squared. Then the given condition is when x equals 0, the value of y is 0. So papalitan muna natin si y prime ng dy over dx. Tapos, this term, if you will notice, si e naka-raise kay y and x. So, kailangan mapaghiwalay muna natin yung exponent ni e. Kasi hindi natin siya basta-basta mapaghihiwalay si x and y kapag ganyan yung form. So, para mapaghiwalay natin yung exponent niya, knowing in the algebra, you have x equals x raised to a plus b. That can be equivalent to x raised to a multiplied to x raised to b. So, i-apply natin siya dito. Ang mangyayari, you will have e raised to y multiplied to e raised to negative x squared. Paghihiwalayin lang natin yung exponent. So, para ma-separate natin ngayon si x and y, we have to multiply the equation by dx over e raised to y. So, pag minultiply na natin siya sa dx over e raised to y, we will now have an equation of dy over e raised to y equals x e raised to negative x squared dx. Since separated na sila, aayusin lang natin. You have e raised to negative y dy. Tataas natin si e raised to y. Then the same. Then transposing this term to the other side, magiging negative po yan. Then pwede na tayong mag-integrate. So pag in-integrate natin yan, sa first term, you have the u as negative y. Then the du is negative dy. Then punta tayo sa second term. Our u there is negative x squared. Then the du is equivalent to negative 2x dx. So kailangan tama yung format. So that's e raised to u du. So you have e raised to u. Then the du is negative dy. So insert negative inside, then balance by negative outside. Then dun sa second term, our du is negative 2x dx. We have x dx. So inserting negative 2, balance by negative 1 half on the outside. So this is in the form of e raised to u du. Pareha silang e raised to u du. So pwede na natin siyang i-integrate as the integral of e raised to u du is simply equivalent to e raised to u. So, kakopyahin lang natin. You have negative, then e raised to u, which is e raised to negative y. Then, negative and negative is positive, so you will have 1 half. Then, e raised to u, wherein your u is negative x squared, equivalent to c. So, simplifying the equation by multiplying sa 2, you will now have negative 2 e raised to negative y plus e raised to negative x squared equals 2c. Wherein si c or si 2c rather, pwede nating palitan ng c. So that can be our general solution. Tama? Since we still have arbitrary constant c. So for us to obtain the particular solution, all we have to do is to substitute the x equals 0 and y equals 0. So, substitute natin si y, substitute natin si x. So, that's negative 2 e raised to negative 0 plus e raised to negative 0 squared. And e raised to 0 is simply 1. So, you will now have negative 2 plus 1 equals c. So, the value of c is negative 1. So, isa-substitute ulit natin si c kay general solution. We will now have negative 2 e raised to negative y plus e raised to negative x squared equals negative 1. So, simplifying the equation by multiplying sa negative e raised to y and e raised to x squared. Ang magiging equation mo na ngayon is 2 e raised to x squared plus e raised to y equals e raised to y multiplied to e raised to x squared. Babalik tayo dun sa ginamit natin kanina. So, pwede nating pagsamahin na to ngayon, which is same base, then add the numerator. So, this is our particular solution. Since that is our particular solution, that can be considered our final answer for problem number 9, which is 2 e raised to x squared plus e raised to y equals e raised to y plus x squared. Okay, so that's all for this session. Separation of Variables by Engineer Anthony T. Reyes, the faculty of Bulacan State University College of Engineering, specifically the Electrical Engineering Department. So thank you and God bless. If you have any question, comment down below your question. See you again next time.